conditioning's blowing. Going down right on us.
I'm going to slide this up.
Yeah.
Going live now.
Can't run away from us.
Good.
Okay. All right. We ready? We on the clock?
What sense do you have of Carson?
Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you.
Great to be here.
How's the baby?
Doing well. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah?
Thank you very
Good.
much.
Yeah, awesome.
In terms of Carson, what sense do you have of his availability during the off-season programming? What's your expectation from this spring?
Well, obviously, he's still rehabbing and getting himself healthy and strong, and again, just like we've done in the past with him, we're just going to be patient and let him get strong and not putting, as you know, we're not putting any timetable on him, and when he's ready, and we're optimistic that he'll be ready to go for OTAs, but again, we're not gonna push it and force anything.
Missing time last offseason seemed to have an impact on him early on, just OTAs, not training camp. Are you concerned at all that the back injury will cause him anywhere near that amount of time as last year?
I don't think it'll allow him to miss that much time, because obviously he was rehabbing a knee, and that was major. This is just a matter of making sure everything is just right, with him and his body, and when he's ready to go, he's ready to go. But again, I'm optimistic that he won't miss that much time.
At the combine, we're asking you about kind of adding speed to the offense, and we were downplaying it a little bit, but obviously get DeSean. What kind of went into that decision? What do you expect him to be able to add to you guys?
Well, as you know, we're always looking to add value, add talent to a lot of our positions. Receiver is one, and we do our due process, due diligence. We look at all the free agent receivers, and then of course now we're in the process of our college receivers and stuff like that. But DeSean is a very explosive receiver. We know him. He's been an Eagle before, and now we're excited to get him in the room and get him caught up to speed, and really looking forward to working with him.
Doug, were you allowed to talk to him, and if so, and what have you said to him? I don't know what the rule is.
I only spoke to him when he came in the day he signed, and then we're back to the dead period now. So I really haven't had any communication other than congratulating him when he signed.
As the play caller, how much pressure does it put on you now, having 3 really good receivers, 2 tight ends, you have to kind of spread the ball out?
Well, listen, you got one football, and a lot of times defenses dictate where the ball goes. I can sit here and tell you, hey, we got a play designed for Alshon, but it ends up going to Nelson Aguilar, or it's designed for Zach and it ends up going to Dallas. So it's hard to say, hey, we're going to get X amount of touches here, and here. It just doesn't work that way. So we're going to scheme and we're going to game plan the way we always have, and we teach the quarterbacks the progressions, and Carson gets through his reads, and the ball ends up where it ends up.
Doug, are you open to joint practices again this year?
Joint practices? Yes, we're gonna go against Baltimore this year, week 3 of training camp. Yeah.
In Philly or
It'll be in Philly.
Why? What's the benefit? You've done it before, but you didn't do it last year.
Last year it just didn't work out. We were trying to get a couple teams last year, and it just scheduling just didn't work out. We reached out to a couple teams this year, Baltimore being one, and they're right down the road, and it's simple for them. It's easy for us, and we get a chance to play them, and we had a great experience 2 years ago, with the Dolphins coming in, and we want to do it again.
How about I'm sure you're aware of what Bruce Arians did, hired a couple of willing assistants. Is that something you might be open to, and have you considered anything like that?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the what's happening, what you're seeing with professional sports. I think you're seeing, you're seeing, with Shireen and as a PT, you're bringing more women into your building, and I think it's a great opportunity for them, and they have to go through the process just like hiring a male coach. So if someone's qualified, a woman's qualified to handle a position, then I would be all for it. But right now, my staff's full, obviously, but I'm encouraged in the direction in which we're going.
Sorry, so you have DeSean now, and you have a lot of money invested in the wide receiver position, but you have maybe the best tight end in the league, and you have a very promising one. And we talked about this last year, but your production 12 personnel versus 11 was better. Look at the yards per play. How do you balance that now, having DeSean versus a guy like Goddard, who you're obviously going to get in the field more? I mean, why did you still kind of, in some ways, I think you went a little more 12, but why did you resist going more 12 than 11 down the stretch last season?
A lot of times it's just dictated by defenses and game plans and how things are falling out in the game. There's been several times we want to go in with 12 personnel and it ends up being our 11 personnel type of a game. It just happens that way. And there's a balance. I mean, those are all things we took a look at as a staff this spring, and we're going to continue to explore that through OTAs and training camp. But obviously we have guys now that we can put out on the field that can be explosive, and a lot of times too in your 12 personnel, a little more run oriented, so your play action pass becomes a little bit bigger, and there's where you're seeing some of the yards per attempt really spike.
What kind of findings did you come to when you really looked at 12 personnel, and why Dallas? Why was it effective?
Well,
I know you a lot of times when you get teams in nickel, I get that, but
yeah, and I'm not going to give away all our secrets here, but it just so happened that when there's things that we're going to do. I'll just tell you this: there's things that we're going to do. We're going to implement this spring in our 12 personnel to hopefully give us an advantage in the fall.
Hey, Doug,
End of story.
Doug, at the combine, you said that you want Nate Sudfeld to compete for that backup quarterback job. A lot of the veterans on the free agent market have signed. Where's that competition going to come from now?
Well, as I mentioned too, I'm really excited about Nate. And I think that the quarterback position, is another one that's not exempt from competition. So we're going to continue to look, obviously, out there. We got the draft coming up. We got our roster's constantly changing, and we're by no means anywhere close to being done with anything with our roster right now. So, but I'm excited about Nate. This will be another big spring for him, another giant step in his progression, and really encouraged where he was at the end of the year, and I think where he can go this season.
Don't feel about where you guys are at in terms of running back right now. You haven't added anybody new just yet. You have Corey getting healthy.
Yeah.
Josh.
Well, we won a Super Bowl with 3 guys that came after the draft, so our roster's continually shifting, and we're still. Listen, you got Wendell, you got Corey coming back, Josh is coming back, and I'm encouraged by those guys, and again, just kind of like what we were talking about, the roster's constantly taking shape, and we're going to continue to explore everything and add value and talent where we can.
When you look at
What's that?
You want another running back?
I mean, yeah, I want another tight end too. I need another quarterback. I need offensive linemen. I need everybody. And, we got to fill out a 90-man roster. So it's not a position that is exempt by no means. We're going to constantly and continue to add value and talent where we can.
When you look at analytics that you use, is there more layers that every year that you keep adding to that, without giving away everything? How does that kind of work? Do you deal with a little bit more data?
Yeah, we take a look at a lot of that stuff, and a lot of the decision making, in-game decision making with analytics, and then of course, with our sports science, with the players off season, and we take a look at a lot of things, and we're still exploring and really doing a lot of studies in some areas that can help us. Obviously, we're studying other teams and using that as well. But we're going to continue. I'm going to continue to use them where we see fit, and if it benefits our football team, we'll continue to use them.
Doug, what have you seen from in the draft preparation? What have you seen from Josh Jacobs?
I mean, he's an exciting guy. He's a big back. He's athletic. I think he's he can give you that first down, second down, productivity. He's exciting to watch. And he's gonna be a good player.
How about pass catching?
Not bad. What I've seen, I wasn't there at the pro day, but what I saw at the pro day and some of the things in the combine and watching his tape, he's not bad as a catcher coming out of the backfield.
Doug, are you anticipating Sproles coming back?
I'd like to have him. I can't speak for Darren, obviously, and this is his time to make these decisions, but I would love to have Darren back.
When you look at the run game last year and why it wasn't as efficient as it was the year before, I mean, was it scheme, the blocking, the backs? I mean, what do you I know it's never one thing, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything. We got away a little bit from the RPO game that we did the year before. Defenses were taking it away a little bit, so we had to come up with some unique ways, and these are all things that we're studying now this offseason and ways to improve that. And then just sometimes I had to call it more. I didn't stay patient enough at times, maybe in games, and then sometimes it's the way the game is going. You get behind, or You're not in a, you're kind of in a catch-up mode, and you get away from the run just a little bit. But it's a combination, I think, of everything a little bit.
Doug, just to follow up on Darren, so is he planning to play next year? Have you guys heard that from him, or do you know anything?
I haven't talked to him.
I mean, you haven't, but has the team, because you can't, but has the team,
right?
Does the team know where he stands in terms of whether he wants to come back or not?
This is yeah, and again, this is Darren's decision. Obviously, we'd love to have him. I can't speak for Howie or any of the other guys in the building, but we'd love to have him. Love to have all our players back there. But listen, this is their time. I get it. I was there once, and we'll respect his decision when it comes.
Is there a time that you need to know by with him and maybe Carson too?
I mean, listen, we've gone down this path with Darren every year.
Yeah.
Not here for OTAs, and he comes to training camp. So, listen, these guys know how to play. Chris and Darren both know how to play, know how to get themselves ready to go. I'm not concerned with either one of those guys.
Doug, in terms of injured players, I know you don't want to put a timetable on return dates, but is there anyone who's definitively out for the offseason program, whether it's Darby, McLeod, anyone who you won't have this spring?
These guys they're coming off major injuries, and if you just track Carson's path last year, that might give you an indication. And I'm not going to tell you exactly who and sit here and tell you because timetables change, healing times change. But, we're taking each one case by case, day by day, week by week right now. Just want to get them all healthy and get them back when they can.
And the reason I asked, too, is because it was clear last summer you had a lot of guys who didn't have an off-season program or really didn't even have a training camp or preseason. Were you anticipating that type of situation again, or do you think you're going to have a healthier roster come the summer?
I think come summertime, I think we're going to be healthier, but at the same time, this is a great opportunity to develop some of our younger players, some of the guys that will be out there, the Matt Pryors. You get Sidney Jones back out there. Guys like that. You're getting Trey Sullivan back on defense, get him to work again, and you're talking about Jordan Mailata, Nate Sudfeld, guys like that. So this is a great opportunity for them while the other guys are resting and getting themselves ready to go.
Speaking of Jordan Mailata, how close do you think he is to being able to actually go into a game and play at this point after a full year?
I mean, he's improving. Again, every day is a new day. With him because it's all brand new. He's another one that fits in that bucket of this will be a big off season for him and his learning curve and his jump and his progression. So, we're encouraged by it, and we'll see come training camp. Especially in the games.
You didn't confirm whether certain players had minor surgery, but it's been revealed that Fletcher had something done. Is that correct?
Fletcher did have something done. Yes, I think that was.
Yes,
that came out.
So you're someone that you expect to be back by the spring.
Again, he's another one. I'm not gonna rush back. He took a lot of reps last year and could probably use a little time, but he's doing well. He's doing well right now.
Well, you guys had last season. The season was largely about guys going down, guys trying to come back. Are you worried? You've got quite a few situations in the air right now. How do you keep that from becoming a cycle that repeats itself?
I mean, it's hard. It's a tough situation, but you just got to continue to work your roster. And this is where as coaches we got to really develop our younger guys and get them prepared and ready to go. Just like we did in the 2017 season, a lot of our younger players had to step up and play that year due to injury, and we had a lot of it. Just sort of snowballed last year, obviously, especially in one position. But this is where we get to prepare these guys this spring and have them ready to go.
Doug, do you need more speed in the secondary, primarily at the safety position? Would you like to get more?
I mean, what do you mean by speed? What does speed look like to you in the secondary?
Well, Malcolm
coming up and running and fitting a C gap, or coming off the center field and blowing up a guy on the sideline. What does speed look like?
Rodney's coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
Malcolm obviously cannot cover all the people he has to cover.
Don't tell him that.
Okay.
Malcolm going to be in his locker in the spring, huh?
Overruled.
Okay. I won't tell him that. Well, I'm asking. And you have age there, too. So
well, we added Andrew Sendejo. I'm going to tell you something. I'm excited about him on our roster. He has depth. He has value. Now you're looking at him, and we get Rodney healthy and get him back, and Malcolm. It's just the more guys. I mean, you go back to 17 and some of 16 when you have guys back there that can rotate through. It's like the D-line. When they can rotate through and they're all playing and healthy, yeah, it's going to help everybody. It's going to help Malcolm. Malcolm took a lot of snaps last year. In fact, all of them, and didn't come off the field, and that's a credit to him. So I'm encouraged by Andrew again, getting him in here, Sendejo, getting him working and getting him caught up.
In Maddox's case, where do you see him playing? You see him as a
Maddox?
Safety, as a safety, a slot and outside?
I think he's versatile. I mean, he's one of those guys like an offensive lineman that can play both guards or guard center or both tackle, like Big V. He'll work inside nickel spot. He'll also work, with Craven, LeBlanc, and then he'll work outside as well. So, and then he's played safety. I mean, he's a guy that. Those are the kind of guys and players you look for, that have that kind of versatility.
Does Jalen Mills have to play corner, or can you move him to other spots in the second?
Well, I mean, he's played corner. I think he can continue to play corner. I think he's another player that can be versatile that way, and be more. Doesn't have to necessarily be maybe position specific, but at the same time, we'll just. I love him at corner right now where he's at, but. Nothing says he's worked some inside, he's outside. I mean, again, he's another guy. You try to train everybody to do everything. That's kind of what we do in the back end.
You have six quarterbacks that probably could make some argument for considerable playing time next year. How are you going to balance that? How do you see the depth chart loosely right now with all those guys?
Yeah, right now you really don't have any kind of depth. You're just kind of getting guys out there, and that's what OTAs are really the phase 2 portion of our off season is all drill work and fundamentals and getting these guys caught up. But once we get into OTAs, and really once you get to training camp, you really get to see, the competition, and that's what you want, and that's why we continue to add depth at a lot of positions. Corner's another one. There's going to be some great competition out there when everybody comes back and we get everybody healthy. So I'm looking forward to that battle.
How's Mills doing? Is he still working through his
Jalen Mills? Yeah, he's still working through his injury, still rehabbing, but doing well.
Do you view it as a long-term thing, or
long-term with him
in terms of his recovery?
It's hard to say. I mean, he is improving and getting better, but again, without getting too specific, would feel optimistic about him. Maybe training camp, but another one that's. You just got to be careful with that type of injury and just make sure he's 100%
What is that
before he
type
goes
of
out
injury?
there. Lower body.
Do you have a lower body?
I have lower body too.
Hey, to follow up on the speed element of did you guys? I mean, the NFL seems like it's fat. It's certainly getting more of a. I mean, obviously speed is always important, but maybe even increasingly so. Did you guys look at yourselves and say, okay, we need to get faster, and that was one of the reasons why DeSean was acquired?
I was going to say something smart, but who are you comparing us to? Like when you say speed around the league, is there a team? Is there a? What do you mean?
I mean, it's obviously
every team has
subjective.
Speed.
Yeah,
it's subjective. I mean, everybody has
say,
speed.
But I mean, certainly, in adding DeSean, though, you felt like that was something that.
I mean, if you take a look at last season, the way that if you look at the entire league and how the league, from the start of the season to the end of the season, you saw what happened. Teams' offenses were coming out gangbusters, scoring a lot of points, racking up a ton of yards. But what happened at the end of the year? Points went down. Touchdowns go down. Everything kind of you go back to the play great defense and run the football.
Right.
And so it's all subjective. I mean, if you want speed early in the year, then yeah, you'll get speed early in the year. But you got to sustain that for 17 weeks and more into the postseason. So it's just based on, I guess, offensive philosophy and how you want to attack defenses.
What do you think about the rules changes that are being discussed here about expanding replay, maybe having an eye in the sky, stuff like that? Do you have a position on these things?
My position is I want to make everything. I want to get it right. I want to get the calls right. I want to help. I mean, listen. I can appreciate these officials. It's a tough game to officiate right now. The speed of the game is there, and so it's tough. It's tough on these guys, and so we're trying to come up with unique ways to whether it's the sky judge and maybe kind of the things like we're looking at the AAF and what they're doing. But you know, my position is I want to get calls right. You know, and make the game, you know, especially for the fans, an exciting game where you know a lot of calls aren't being missed, or if they are missed, we can make them right.
Okay, when you voice your opinion, you want to get them right. How do you get them right?
Well, that's the things we're discussing this week here in Arizona. I mean, you know, there's ways of helping the officials. There's ways of, you know, coaches can be another. If they add another layer of replay, you know, which are all things are being discussed. I mean, there's some ways, there's some unique ways and creative ways. We got to look at what the AAF is doing. We got to look at what college is doing, and really kind of, you know, think out of the box just a little bit. You know, as coaches, as a league, and really, again, I think everybody across the board would say, let's just get it right. Let's just get the calls right and make the game exciting. You really, you know, you don't want and these are things we talked about. You don't want the Saints-Rams deal. You want to get that play right, you know, because that's what everybody's talking about. And so if we have the ability to do that and help, then it's just another layer.
Does it necessarily have to be done with replay? For instance, when Nick Foles had his face mask yanked around, spun his head around, and the official admits that he made a mistake, but the other official's not, from what I understand, permitted to tell him he made a mistake because they have their own area of expertise.
Well, yeah, every official, their eyes are in certain spots. I mean, they're looking at certain things. So yeah, if one guy's looking at the quarterback, another guy's looking at the offensive line, and vice versa, or down the line, you know, whatever. But if there's another guy, say upstairs, that's watching the whole thing, you know, obviously coaches are watching. There's things like that. So there's another layer that could possibly be added where it doesn't complicate anything. That could really help in those situations.
What about replay? What about penalties? I mean, should they be reviewable?
You know, I think there are certain penalties that can be reviewable. Obviously, it's tough at full speed when you're talking about OPIs and DPIs down the field. Those, you know, 40, 45, 50-yard fouls down the field. You know, those are hard to officiate sometimes. You know, the ones it's those ones that are the obvious ones. You know, like maybe you see a guy that comes across, you know, that safety with all that speed you're talking about, blows up or hits a receiver, but he catches him in the shoulder instead of the head, and then, you know, a flag is thrown, and you want to get that play right because everybody sees it. No, he didn't hit him in the head; he hit him in the shoulder. So, you know, again, it's a fast game, but you know, those are situations, those obvious situations that you want to make right.
Doug, there's more data available in terms of analytics to you guys as a team than there used to be in years past. Is it becoming harder to like kind of use your gut on the sideline, or are you leaning on analytics more than you used to?
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously technology is moving at the, you know, speed of light. I mean, it's really progressing and taking off. You know, really, a lot of decisions. Some of them are analytical decisions. You know, based on studies that we've done in certain areas. But quite frankly, too, it's based on game situation and gut feel. You know, how's the team performing right now? How's the offense performing? Defense, you know, how they performing? For some of these decisions to be made, but you know, we're going to continue to use them, and you know, you have to kind of take what you can and use what you can, you know, in game decision making.
The player tracking data obviously was released for the first time last year. In what ways, or was it useful at all to you as a coach?
Yeah, you know, I didn't quite honestly, I have to confess, I didn't look at a lot of it. You know, I leave that up to our sports science guys and let them kind of dive into that kind of stuff and some of the analytics there. But you know, at the end of the day, I want to look at players in the face and talk to them eyeball to eyeball and ask them how they're doing, and you know, make sure that these guys are ready to go.
But the analytics versus the gut, just following up on that, do you find that the analytics become part of the gut after a while?
Sometimes there's a blend there, and that's a good question, because sometimes you think you're making that gut feel, but it's some of the analytical data that you've studied that sort of now become part of who you are. yeah, so it does kind of bleed over into that.
DeSean talked about how you and him had a really good relationship and dating back to when you coached for him. How much has he matured since he was first with the Eagles and when you first kind of interacted with him to now?
You know, I really can't answer that because I haven't spent time with him. I was coming off of pain meds when I congratulated him, coming back. So it's hard to answer.
What
But
is your relationship with him?
we had I was quality control. Really had a really good relationship with him, and of course working with the quarterbacks at the time and the receivers, just his explosiveness and stuff. And looking at his career now, just from afar, you can see how he has matured in his game, on and off the field. And he's a great guy, family man, and we're just excited to have him in the fold.
He told a story about during the Bucs game where there's an injury timeout, and you kind of walked over and said, "Hey, are you mad at me?" What made you think that he was mad at you?
Because earlier in the game, first quarter, after he had just scored, there was another play on our sideline, and he looks at me and he says something like, "You never should have let me go. You never should have let me go." And I was like, "I wasn't even there. I wasn't even there." And then that play happened down in, I think Corey Clement got dinged down in the by the goal line there. And I walked out, and DeSean was down there. He's like, "Why are you mad at me? Why are you mad at me?" I asked him why he was mad at me. I said, "Don't get mad at me."
Right.
So we had a little exchange in that game. It was fun.
In your first year as head coach, you said you want to get in the habit of drafting a quarterback every year, having a young guy. Obviously, Nick's presence and adding Nate couldn't do that. Do you want to get back into that habit? Would you like a developmental quarterback this year?
Yeah, we're always looking again at quarterbacks, and if there's a guy out there that can fit and really a developmental type guy, maybe even competes as the third, comes in and competes as the third, or you keep him on practice squad or something. I'm always encouraged by that. I think you got to continue to find those guys, and develop quarterbacks and prepare them.
How's this draft in terms of day 3 guys?
Good. It's really good. It's one of the positions right now that when I get back home, I'm going to spend more time looking at. I haven't really looked at all the quarterbacks yet so far, but of the ones I've seen, it's pretty healthy, to find that day, even a day 2, maybe day 3 guy that, you bring in and develop and see what happens.
Doug, you let Wiz go. He would have been your backup at the 3 interior line spot. What made you comfortable in doing that?
Again, it just goes back to, an opportunity for players like himself to start, have an opportunity to play more. It benefits him from a standpoint of being on the field. And then from our standpoint, it gives us a chance to develop some of our younger guys, and again, it goes back to our roster constantly taking shape, and we're still in the process of doing that, and you make tough decisions from year to year. Guys are gonna come, guys are gonna go, and I'm excited for him, obviously, and giving him an opportunity to go play.
The top 3 receiver spots seem to be pretty set. How do you view the backups there and some of the young guys you have on the roster?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some of the young guys. Braxton Miller is a guy we had on practice squad. I'm looking forward to watching him, and just seeing some of the youth that we have, getting Shelton Gibson back out there, and Matt Collins when he's 100%, getting him back out there, and of course he missed all of last year, but get him back out there at some point. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to these guys. Again, guys that have been with us, taking another step, showing in their progression, and being in a position to help us.
During your playing days, when you spent time with Mouse Davis, what kind of influence did that have on kind of the way you think about offensive scheming and coaching, or did it influence it at all?
Yeah, I look back on he had a run and shoot style offense, and it was the first time I've ever been in that type of system, and it was interesting because it's route running is based on leverage a lot, free access versus bump and run coverage and things of that nature. So it kind of it kind of has spilled over a little bit to what we do with some of the substitution routes we do with our receivers and tight ends, and really running away from leverage, running away from certain defensive coverages, things like that. So we don't necessarily do the semi-rollout stuff, that we did with him with the quarterback position, but there is some similarities in some of the route running.
In that Jags game in London, Goddard had the one TD where I think he kind of adjusted. Is that kind of an example of that a little bit, or
a little bit of that? But that was just those two guys, Carson and Dallas, kind of just making a play because there was the defender right outside on the number as Dallas was running his route. And Dallas did a great job of slipping and working back inside when Carson threw the ball. So that's more of those two guys just kind of being on the same page and making that play.
Doug, we spoke a lot about Carson and contract extension and how this is obviously something that you guys are building toward. What's your involvement in that whole process and that decision?
Well, I mean, listen, we love Carson. We drafted him for that reason. To be our quarterback, and a lot of times, my job is to get Carson prepared to play on game days, and the better he gets, listen, he's going to be right there in that conversation, I'm just excited for Carson this year, to take that another step. This will be another big step for him in that regard, but for me, I stay out of all the contract stuff. I just got to get Carson ready to play on game day.
Do you see him in the building? I mean, obviously you guys can talk football until workouts begin.
I mean, he, like all the players, you're coming in and working out and rehabbing and all that right now, yeah.
What kind of sense do you get just in talking to him about his thirst, I guess, for this season to kind of like exercise the whole kind of injury-prone narrative that's out there?
Well, yeah, you've heard him talk about it, and I'll just echo kind of what he said. I mean, I don't necessarily think he has to prove anything, but I think he wants to be out there for his teammates and help us win football games, and it's important to him, and he understands that, and we'll just get him ready to go.
Does he have anything to prove?
I mean, I don't think he has anything to prove. He's done a lot already. I mean, we just got to continue to develop him as a quarterback, and he can grow as a quarterback and help us win a lot of games and continue to help us win a lot of games. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited to get back in here and working with him and getting ready to go.
I asked you about being a play caller and getting the ball to every guy, but it's obviously going to fall on Carson too. How do you think he views that? Because does the quarterback have to worry about making sure everyone gets fed?
I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to think of it that way. It's still a progression offense, and you just got to get through your progression, get through your reads. You can't. If you try to just force the ball, here all the time, you don't allow the whole offense to work for you. And so we just continue to teach progression. The ball's going to go where the ball's going to go, and that's why we just continue to, progress forward and prepare our guys, the same way each week.
Doug, has Chris Long given you guys an indication one way or another about what his intentions are for this year?
No, Chris is another one like Darren mentioned earlier. I mean, these guys, this is their time. Respect their time, and would love to have him back, obviously. But he hasn't indicated one way or the other.
Doug, what are some things you want to implement as a head coach next year? Maybe some personal things.
I think for me, and just taking another step in play calling, I think I can still continue to grow and get better, and a lot of the situational things that I've looked at, I can get better with some of the decisions I made last year. Just more or less like run pass type options. I think being I go back to 17, and there were some opportunities that I just got to maintain that aggressiveness, and so I can each year just maintain that and stay on the cutting edge of that, and then find unique ways to convert. I mean, it'd be interesting. We're talking about onside kicks and things like that going away, like the AAF is doing with like fourth down. So that's just another layer of situations. So you start thinking about those types of things and putting your team in those positions. We're not there yet, obviously, but I don't know. It's intriguing. It's something to think about. 4th and 15, and you keep the ball. Who knows? But and then just running the team, just day to day managing the team. Still being open, still being honest, communicating with the players, being demanding, holding guys accountable, things like that. Those are all areas that I can continue to grow in.
You mentioned aggressiveness. In your self-scouting after the season, did you look back and say, okay, there are some areas where I wasn't the 2017 Doug in terms of being aggressive?
Yeah, and last year was obviously a tough year, but I look at it, and some of the 4th down decisions I look at, and again, as I mentioned earlier, maybe I go and throw the ball a little bit more in those situations versus run the ball. And you got to weigh it, back and forth. But 2-point conversions, I think about some of the decisions I made, and that's me. Still having the aggressiveness and showing the team that we're going to stay aggressive in a kind of a calculated way, and not a silly, just kind of a whim type of a decision. Other areas I looked at, third down decisions.
There were a few before the half times I thought where Doug Pederson in 2017 would have been aggressive with under a minute left, and rather than just kind of run the ball and kneel down. I always think back to the NFC Championship game when you and it hurts on that sideline.
Right.
There were a few times I thought that this past season where you didn't do that.
A lot of times it's. And what you don't know, what we have the privilege of knowing, is what happens on the first play of that drive. The first play of the drive can dictate the rest of the drive.
Gotcha.
So if you go back to that game, we had a chunk play, I believe, on that first play. First or second play, there was a chunk play in there. And so that can dictate how you end a half. If it's a negative play, then maybe you do something a little bit different. But those are all things that we work on and talk about on the sideline leading up to that drive. But that is an area that we look at.
Yeah.
Has this been a more normal offseason for you? I know you've had the surgery, obviously, but comparing it to last year, has it been more what the offseason?
It's been a really good offseason. We've, as a staff, we talked about at the combine, with some of the staff changes and some of the new additions, getting them settled in. We've been able to really dive into our schemes, offense and defensive schemes, special team schemes, and kind of, it's unfortunate. I mean, we'd love to continue to play, obviously, but you can kind of sit back and really dive into your roster, dive into your playbook a lot, and really come away with some great things that you can implement this spring. It's been good that way.
I know you said sometimes when you're watching draft prospects, you pick up some scheme stuff or interesting things. Are there programs that you see that you look at them and you think, wow, they're innovative, or are there trends that are happening in college that you just see, kind of seeping into the NFL right now?
Yeah, I think it's league wide in college football. It's a lot of spread offenses. Some offenses are going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and so I look at that because we have 2 tight ends. More offenses are going to be in 11 personnel, so we'll take a look at some of that. Obviously, in college, their formations can be a little different than ours. Tackles are uncovered and all that kind of stuff, but which we can't do, obviously. But play design, gadget plays, RPO game. Those are all things we look at as we study these college kids.
You spoke about messaging and being upfront with the team. A lot of these guys have been here now throughout your coaching tenure. How do you keep it from becoming stale? Because you push a lot of these buttons already.
Yeah, I mean, you got to find creative ways to motivate. I think you got to find creative ways to utilize your time in the spring so it doesn't get mundane and monotonous and we're doing the same thing over and over. And so there's going to be a couple changes, not major things, but some things with the schedule we're going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to try to flip, especially in phase 3. I'm gonna try to implement like offense in the weight room first, defense will meet, and then they'll flip, and do some things creative that way, and then we all kind of come together for special teams, and then hit our walkthroughs and practice and all this kind of stuff. And I'm exploring right now some ways to really maximize our OTA practices, those 10 practices we get, and really dive into more situational. I started 2 years ago with that. I got it, I think, a little better last year, but I want to really dive into a lot of the situational stuff in OTAs and prepare our players for those opportunities in game. So those are all things I'm looking at moving forward.
Hey, Doug, you guys have clearly been committed to Carson kind of from the jump, but Nick did some amazing things. When his first Super Bowl and brought the team back to life this last year. I'm curious what the conversation's like behind the scenes as you're kind of mapping out the future to make the decision and make sure that you're making it right. What was that process like? Conversations?
Well, I mean, look, we drafted Carson for a reason. Talented, going to be our starter, face of the franchise quarterback, all of that. And obviously we wanted depth at the position. So we went out, we had Chase Daniel the first year, and then we had Nick the last 2 years. 2 veteran quarterbacks. And then we've added Nate. And then, listen, you get to a point where at some level, what Nick has done has given Nick an opportunity to be a starter. And me personally, I didn't want to hold him back from that. I feel I'm so excited for Nick, an opportunity to go play and run a franchise and run an organization, because we've got so much confidence in Carson, and that's the battle. That's the struggle, because we've got a great quarterback in Carson, but yet we understand and appreciate what Nick has done for our team, for our organization, for me personally, and then it gives him an opportunity to secure his family for financially for the rest of their lives and go play. So for me, those are tough decisions, but at the same time, I'm excited for both quarterbacks moving forward.
Carson's talked about the shadow of playing in Nick winning a Super Bowl and taking to the playoffs last year. Do you worry about that? I mean, obviously there's a lot of pressure playing quarterback in the NFL. There's a lot of pressure playing in Philadelphia, but the bar is pretty high for him. It's either win a Super Bowl or you're going to start hearing it
from you.
Well, I mean, from fans probably, but
he'll hear it from him.
We're a reflection of the fan base in Philadelphia, as you well know.
Are you?
Yes.
You are.
We're a conduit.
Are you?
Yes.
We is like we.
Yes.
Or is it just I?
Me? No. What are you talking about? I'm the most docile of the.
Where are we going with this question? Where are we going?
Do you worry about Carson being able to handle that kind of pressure? That's an immense amount of pressure.
I go back to when I was in Green Bay, and when I had a chance to go in. Now, I'm not Brett Favre, but I couldn't be Brett Favre. Brett Favre's Brett Favre. Doug Pederson's Doug Pederson. Carson Wentz is Carson. Carson's fine. Carson, just go play. Carson, just lead our football team. Do the things he's done, and I don't worry about that, because if we start thinking that way, we start thinking about the end result and not the process, then we've lost our mind.
You think he thought that way last year?
Who?
Carson? Do you think that pressure, that burden was on him last year?
I think you'd have to ask him that, because he was having a really good year, before the injury. And I think that's a question that only he can answer,
But he looked different.
Again, I think you might want to ask him. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. I mean, I don't.
What did you think looking at the film?
We were winning games.
Well, you weren't. You were 4-6 when he went down.
Well, we started. Yeah. Well, we won a couple games.
Now that you've been around Carson for 3 years, what is it that makes you?
What?
I mean, you didn't win many games with him.
It's a team, man. It's a team. It's not one guy.
Okay.
It's not about one guy.
What is it about Carson, now you've been around for 3 years, that makes you so confident he can be a franchise quarterback in terms of his skill set? What specifically do you really like about him?
I love the way he works in the building early. He's prepared. You know, the way he studies, love the way he practices. Not only when he's in the drill, but off to the side when he's working with guys. Just love the way he leads our football team. You know, and he's just got to continue to do that and just be Carson. Let his personality show like everybody else, and he'll be fine.
Doug, the Buccaneers hired a couple of female coaches. Is that something that, what are your thoughts on that, first of all? Is that something you've ever considered?
Well, we talked about that earlier. Where were you?
I'm sorry.
Where were you?
I'm all the way back here. I can't hear.
Where were you at? Where were you at? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I have one for you. Just what makes a tight end special to you, and where's your guy kind of in that mix?
Well, I go back to my days again at Green Bay. We were blessed with really good tight ends, you know, in Green Bay, and a lot of the so-called, West Coast offense, you know, was designed around tight ends and having guys that were athletic and great matchups. And you know, we feel like, you know, obviously with Zach Ertz right now, he's a Pro Bowl caliber guy. He's you know, he's a leader of our football team. He's dynamic on the football field. And then we added Dallas last year, and so it just, I love having those big body guys that are right in front of the quarterback from a passing standpoint. You know, guys that can get open, athletic. Just kind of sometimes makes your, as a quarterback's friend, tight ends can be that.
Before I hand it over to Sal, what makes, is there anything that makes him so special?
Zach? Or Sal, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's definitely Sal too. I want to hear that one.
No,
we'll be here all day.
I tell you, I love the way Zach works. He's constant. He's a pro's pro. He's constantly working on his craft, and that's what I love about Zach, and that's what makes him special.
Sal?
How you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So I got a quick baseball question for
you.
Opening
Baseball.
day, Philadelphia, Thursday. Why do you think a person...
I won't be throwing out the first pitch.
Why not? I'm sure you'll be fine. Your arm is great.
I can do it.
Yeah. Why do you think a personality and a player like Bryce Harper can fit into a city like Philadelphia?
Because I made a video and sent it to him and said, you need to be in Philly. That's why he's there. No,
I'm sure that made a big impact.
Made a big impact, yeah. You know, I think when players of Bryce's caliber take a look at all the options available, and you spend any kind of time in the city of Philadelphia, and you're around our fans, it becomes almost a no-brainer, you know, for athletes to come to our city. And I'm excited for the Phillies organization. I'm excited for our city, our fans. It's the makings of an exciting year, you know, and we're just happy that Bryce chose Philadelphia, and I know he won't disappoint, and I know the city won't disappoint him.
I was around him a lot in spring training. You could just see this is one of those locked-in athletes like Carson. Like, he wants to grind. He wants to make sure he's getting better each and every day. Do you think the city will respond to him like they have to Carson?
There's no doubt in my mind they will. You know, that's what our city embraces. They embrace the guys that work hard and are committed to the organizations. They're committed to the fan base, and you know, Bryce has proven that throughout his career and what we've seen through spring training so far, and just looking forward to this season kicking off.
What have you seen from Carson this offseason in terms of just him getting ready for the getting ready for the offseason?
You know, he's in the building a lot. He's obviously he's rehabbing and getting himself, you know, healthy and ready to go, and he's another one that you know, as we have many guys in the building doing, getting him mentally and physically prepared for another run.
Mentally, where is he?
He's good. He's in a great spot. You know, he's feeling good. You know, we don't have a lot of conversation right now about him, but the times I've seen him, he's looking good. He's feeling good, and his mind's in the right place.
One of the things that he said in the off season in response to some of the stuff that came out about him was, "I need to be a better teammate." In what ways do you think he needs to be a better teammate?
Well, first of all, I think everybody can be a better teammate. I can be a better coach to the team. You know, I think being a better teammate would just be, you know, being maybe a little more, sometimes being a little more vulnerable, you know, being a little more accessible. You know, you're obviously committed to your craft and developing your skill, but, you know, it's like you want to walk across the aisle and talk to talk to the other side, and that's all part of a maturation process and a growth process, and it's something that you learn through time. And I watched it with some of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever played with. I saw it through Dan Marino. I saw it through Brett Favre, and guys that for them to become better teammates, they embrace the entire team and take on that personality, and then people follow. And Carson's got that. He's got that in him. He's got it in his DNA, and that's what we're excited about.
You've been around him, and you've been obviously in this situation. He's gotten married. He's been injured. He's come back. It's been, I'm sure, a humbling experience. He's maturing as a young man. Are you seeing that? I
am, and again, he's coming into his 4th season, and he and I are tied. We're married together too, and part of my job is to help all the players on the team become better teammates, and that's part of my job. So I'm looking forward to this season, working with him again, and getting this thing going.
Did you really make Bryce Harper a video?
I did.
What did you say?
I can't remember. I did say this. He is my father-in-law's favorite player. Okay. So I said, well, if you come to Philly, maybe I'll see my father-in-law more than once a year.
Is that a good thing?
That's a good thing. No, it is a good thing. Yeah, it is a good thing. Yeah.
How long are you going to be on the DL here with this wing?
Oh man, I got 4 more weeks of non-weight bearing, and then I'll.
You be ready for OTAs?
I'll be ready. Might still be in a.
You and Carson?
Both of us. We're ready to go.
Thanks a lot, Doug.
So you mentioned Carson maybe could be a little more accessible. Is that something you saw last year, specifically just because of the rehab and the injury, or is that something you've maybe seen from him since he came as a rookie?
Yeah, we've seen it, and obviously seen it, kind of both scenarios. It is harder when you're not with your guys like he was a year ago, because he was rehabbing, and he's not out there. So it's hard, but the more now he interjects himself with the team, and that's what, when I was talking with Sal right there. I mean, that's what you see, and it is difficult. It is difficult because you want to be out there with your guys, and you want to be competing with your guys, and when you're not, it's hard.
When you talked to him after that article came out, was he annoyed, angry, hurt? I mean, what was
you know what? I didn't even acknowledge it. I didn't have to. I thought he addressed it well, but I didn't feel the need to talk to him.
Doug, when you promoted Carson Walsh, what did you see in him as a person and a coach?
Yeah, when I interviewed him, I guess over a year ago, Carson, he's smart, he's energetic, he's coached in our league before. He coached with Mike Groh in Chicago. He coached Alshon Jeffrey, and he really fits what we need, quite frankly, on offense. And I'm excited for him, and a chance for him to really get in that room and teach and lead. And he loves the details part of the job, the fundamental part of the job, game planning part of the job, and so I'm excited to see him really take another step this offseason.
In Derek Barnett's case, where is he physically with the injury, and then also emotional with his brother, and you're never going to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's listen, with the family stuff. I mean, those are all things that I kind of the father figure comes out in me, and want to make sure our players, they go through tragedies like that, are okay. Let them know that I'm thinking and praying for them, and want them to understand that, first of all. Again, he's another one health-wise. He's rehabbing. He's doing everything right. He's getting himself ready to go for another season.
Is it fair to say that he's a player who really needs to step up this year, given the role he has, and obviously the investment you made in him?
I mean, listen, he started out lights out last year. He was playing well. And one of our top pass rushers last year, edge rushers. He doesn't necessarily have to prove anything to us. He just has to beat Derek and go play.
Doug, I know you talked about Nick a million times. I'm with the Jaguars. What are they getting in him, Nick Foles?
One, they're getting a great person, great family, a great leader. Someone that can really bring that offense together and bring that team together. And he's not going to be a rah-rah guy. He's not going to stand on the table and hey, follow me. But he's one of those guys that's going to lead by example. And He's going to work extremely hard. He's going to be in early and out late, and he's going to demand excellence from everybody, and that's who he is. And I'm excited for him.
Is he a guy? Is he a lift the franchise type guy?
Is he what?
Is he a lift teammates around him type guy, lift the franchise type guy?
He won a Super Bowl for us, so he lifted a lot of players up that year. So yes, he is.
Gotcha. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Hey, TJ Pagnetti's new role, is he still the guy in your ear from the booth, or is there someone?
Ryan?
Yeah, I'm sorry, with Ryan Pagnetti's role. Is he still the guy in your ear, or is there someone else taking that role?
Yeah, no, I haven't changed that. You know, he and John Ferrari, you know, they do a great job for me, so I haven't changed that.
You guys made a trade with the Patriots to send Michael Bennett to New England. What kind of player are the Patriots getting in Bennett?
You know, I'm excited for Michael because, one, it gives him a chance to play, you know, and really be a starter. That's what he wanted to do. They're getting a great person as well. I mean, he's a good teammate. He's obviously dynamic on the football field. He's got a lot of gas left in the tank. Be exciting to watch him.
What did he bring to your locker room?
Frustration on his part with his, you mentioned his role might be able to be increased in New England. Was there some frustration there on his part where he wanted to play more?
No, I mean, you know, his whole career he's been a starter, and when he came to us, the expectation, and we're always open and honest, we rotate a lot of guys up front on the D line, and you know, he was inside, he was outside, and of course, you know, we obviously added Malik Jackson to take some of that pressure off of him always coming inside, and now this gives him an opportunity to play.
Doug, the defense and the young secondary seemed to really come along at the end of last season in the playoffs. Given that you have a lot of young guys on rookie contracts, why did you make the decision to bring Ronald Darby back and keep him in that mix?
Well, again, Ronald was having a great season last year prior to the injury. He's a guy that gives us, I mean, he's a really good corner, and he gives us depth at that spot. And, you know, I was excited that he wanted to come back and sign with us, even though it's a one-year deal. I'm excited to have him back and look forward to getting him out there when he's ready. And, you know, it really solidifies that corner position.
What do you see? Who's the
Competing for the nickel quarterback spot? Earlier you mentioned Avante and then LeBlanc. Do you see Sidney in there, or do you kind of view him maybe back on the outside now that he's not needed?
I think that's something we'll look at this spring. I know Jim and Corey, you know, we're gonna look at that, and you know, we felt really good what Craven had done, you know, towards the end of the year as he came on. I mean, you know, he's tough and physical in there, but Sidney's another guy that obviously could be in that mix. So we'll explore that this spring.
And Mike linebacker, who's the top guy going in the spring?
I don't have that answer. The only reason I say that is we don't have, you know, from the standpoint of a roster, we haven't really put all those pieces together yet. So we're looking to continue to add value, add depth at that spot, and then we'll sort that out as we go.
Doug, you brought in a handful of guys who are 30 or more than 30 this offseason, adding to a veteran group. How do you look at that as a coach? And is there something that you guys are seeing from a data standpoint that makes you feel comfortable that the roster isn't getting too old?
No, I mean, those are all things that we look at, but, you know, these guys can still play. And yeah, do you want to add youth? Yeah, you definitely have to add youth, and that's what the draft and is for. And then, of course, the developmental type of players that we have on our roster now. So there is a balance there, but, you know, the guys we brought onto our team that might be a little bit older, they can still play, and we can get a lot of reps out of them. And you know, DeSean hasn't shown any signs of slowing down, and that's good for us.
Doug, last one, please. One more on Bennett, if I could. He's a big personality. How did his personality mesh with your locker room?
Great. I mean, really good. You know, he was a guy that he loved to have fun. You know, and you know, what I allow our players to have that sort of freedom, you know, and that freedom of speech and sort of express themselves that way. I think it can be healthy for your team, and he did a nice job of that. And you know, one of the things that I was proud of with him.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Doug.
How are you?